Hello and welcome to the Docking Bay 77 podcast, YouTube edition. I am your host for this video, Dayton Johnson. Joining me on another one of our Versus episodes, it is the offspring of the voice of reason. It is Liam Lewis. How's it going, Liam?
It's going great. The voice of chaos is ready to go for his first time on the YouTube channel. I'm excited to see what mischief I can bring.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, yes, um, real quick, let's remind people of the format for the Versus episode. So, what this is, we take an original song and we compare it with a cover version of that song. So, for this particular episode, we are doing the Simon and Garfunkel Hazy Shade of Winter and the cover version by the Bangles. So let's just get right into it. Liam, which one were you more familiar with coming into this video?
Believe it or not, I have never heard any version of this song before. It's really,
Really?
yeah, it's really.
Fantastic.
I was honestly quite surprised because Simon and Garfunkel and the Bangles are both very important to me and my mother. I was from like infancy, I was raised on the Live from Central Park CD of
Right,
Simon
right.
and Garfunkel. And then my mom was huge into the Bangles in like middle school, high school. So I have gotten plenty of input from that front, thanks to her as well. So I know both of these bands really well. And it's just this one track has just like slipped through the cracks on me. So it was really fun to discover this new little gem from
Oh,
two artists that I really, really enjoy.
that's kind of fantastic. I love it when it's the first time for people. So for me, because I was a teenager in the 80s and young adult in the 90s, I was very familiar with the Bangles version for the film Less Than Zero, and it was all over the radio. It was all over MTV, so I was very familiar with it. Now, the original by Simon and Garfunkel, I I don't honestly 100% remember if I heard it. You know, I just don't remember classic rock radio playing it very often. They played Sounds of Silence and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
it's not the boxer or me and Julio down by the schoolyard. It's not a very
Right,
common Simon and
right.
Garfunkel track, is it?
No, and that's what was so funny because it's like I knew when the Bangles did it, I knew it was a cover, and so I just was like, okay, cool. And then I'm sure I heard it at some point because I listened to a lot of classic rock radio in the 80s and 90s, so it's quite possible. But going into this, I was definitely more familiar with the cover version. So, all right, cool. Let's go ahead and get into some facts about the original song. Um, Released as a standalone single on October 22nd, 1966, the duo recorded the song during sessions for Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, but it did not make the cut for that album. It was included on the album Bookends. The single was well received by critics and reached number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100. So it was a successful song for them for sure, even though neither one of us heard it. At least, at least I'm not, but didn't hear it very
Yeah,
often, later in the years. But
I honestly expected you to say it was a B-side. I'm surprised that it was the single and that it did ridiculously well. I kind
right,
of feel bad. Like
yeah, I know. So
I should
anyway,
know this.
right, all right. So let's go ahead and hop into what we think about this particular song. I'll let you go first since you were music virgin on both of these tracks, so you get to go first.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, like I said, I grew up with Simon and Garfunkel. I have always loved the way they sing together. I like the way their voices harmonize and complement each other. This track is no exception on that. The vocals are
Right?
stellar. It's a very interesting track though because it's this very specific sound that was all over the place, especially in like the late
Yes,
60s. In the
yes,
late 60s for sure, it's extremely anachronistic. It's this chilling yet energizing sound. It's hopeful, it's forlorn, it's jaunty, it's haunting. It would be right at home on the soundtrack for Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which
right,
I adore.
right.
But so it's very emblematic of its time. I will, however, say, as much as I love this track, it doesn't really feel like a song written by them. It feels like something that the studio had made for the Mamas and the Papas, and then like they didn't want to do it, so they gave it to Simon and Garfunkel. Like I said, that if you want a good sampling of their sound like across the years, listen to that Live in Central Park album because it
Right.
kind of samples tracks from their career. So you'll get a good idea. And this just I love it. It's a great track. It's very enjoyable. I see why it made them a lot of money, but it does not sound like them at all. It's a very weird experience.
Yeah, it was actually written by Paul Simon. I double checked, but it was actually written by him. So, but to your point, 100% agree. It definitely sounds like it's from the mid to late 60s. I was looking at other albums that were released that year, and there was an album from the Mamas and Papas, which is very similar production on this, and which was the time. It wasn't like with the Beatles when they started pushing production, and you know, and you don't get that in this one. This one was pretty straightforward. It does sound good. I mean, the production is there. You can definitely hear distinct instruments. You're right. The vocals are very, very good, and uh, it's a good song. But the funny thing is, as good as it is, I'm like it's not going to change my mind about this song. Like I'm not going to like if somebody asks me about a Simon and Garfunkel song, I'm going to go with Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, or I'm going to go with The Sounds of Silence. I want to I'm going to think of those songs first
I
before
would
this
even
one.
instinctually pick Mrs. Robinson just because
Yes, 100% right,
I've gotten a lot into that song since they played it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So
right,
it's like that. Well, the other weird thing about this one is like I enjoy their vocals, but they're doing this weird thing with their voices. They're like kind of going for a British accent, but not really. It's giving Carrie Fisher in the first Star Wars.
right,
Why is this accent on every fourth word? Why are we doing this? You're not the Buggles. Stop it.
right. um, yeah, the one thing I do really, really like about it is I love the story, I guess, with the song and the way it compares that kind of grayish drab section of going from fall to winter to this guy's situation. The bridge, the song really links this guy, the drab winter weather to his failure as a writer. And he talks about how he has, these unpublished, rhymes and everything. So, which I never really realized that until recently, until preparing for this, that there is more of a story. Being more familiar with the other version, I never really because it's actually removed from that song, but uh, I like that correlation of when you're looking around and it is gray and you're kind of looking at your life going, I'm trying to be this, I'm trying to do this, and I'm apparently not doing a good job. So gray weather, whether it be the beginning of winter or like, during January where it's one big gray ball of suck, you know, that
Yes.
kind of makes sense. And even it talks about how this guy is drowning his issues with vodka and lime. So, I like that. And it's one of those songs, and I know Lauren from the Beard Owl podcast would love it because it's a song that sounds happy, but when you actually look at the lyrics, it's really not a happy song,
Oh
you know?
yeah. I enjoy a good one of my favorite examples of that is Prince's I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man because like if you listen to those lyrics, it's depressing as hell,
Right?
but like then Prince sings it and you're like, "Wee."
I know, right?
You're
I
not
love
even
that.
thinking about it until you
I love
like
it.
get out the sleeve and read the lyrics and you're like, "Oh God, this man's sad."
Something else that I like about the song is it's very quick, and I mean it's like two quick, you know, measures of the opening, and then it's right into the lyrics. Even during the bridge, it doesn't really slow down, and I mean it's only 2 minutes 17 seconds. That's a very short song, and I think it's actually too short. It could have gone a little bit longer, like another verse or something. But it's pretty straightforward. Verse, chorus, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, chorus, whatever. So it's pretty standard. So, you know, it's a good song, but it's also
I
not
will
going to move its
agree.
way up as far as Simon and Garfunkel songs for me.
Yeah, I will agree. Regarding you were complimenting the storytelling element of the lyrics. I think that is helped largely by the edits and the pacing. This song is like if it were a movie, it would be an hour and a half. Like you're in, you're
Right,
out. It's
exactly.
we're not. lingering too long on any one scene. It's everything's just as long as it needs to be to get a point across and tell this story. And it like it ending almost too quick and it leaving you wanting more almost feels related to the story because it's like, well, wait, that's it. He's just gonna be sad. We're gonna leave him here.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
doesn't get. I want to help this guy. I want to help him fix his writer's block. And like
It would have been
maybe,
nice if there had been like another verse or something,
yeah,
like
like
just a
can he at
little bit
least
longer.
meet a lady or something? Like, come on.
Maybe I don't know, maybe get a job, right? I don't know,
Yeah.
anything. Even more observations about what he's seeing on the street as he's looking around or something. I don't know, any
Yeah,
something
it's
else,
it's
but yeah,
very it's very it's very connected to the storytelling is like it ends too quick. It leaves you with that ache of like, oh, I could be doing more.
yeah, yeah. Agreed. All right. Anything else you want to mention before we move on to the cover?
Nope, I'm good. Let's go.
Okay, let's hit the cover. All right. Recorded for the Less Than Zero soundtrack and was released as a single in November of 1987. The song reached number two on the Billboard Hot 100, so it actually performed better than the original. The soundtrack also includes covers from Poison doing Kisses Rock and Roll All Night and Slayer doing a version of Inagata Davida, so from Iron Butterfly, which cracks me up. There's actually quite a few covers on here, but I'd also want to mention that LL Cool J's Going Back to Cali was on this soundtrack as well as on his own album too. So the soundtrack is actually a really well done soundtrack for the film. It makes a lot of the songs make sense, and I think specifically this song makes a lot of sense within the film as well. And like as when we get into the changes they made, I think fits better with the tone of the film than the original song of from the '60s. So that being said, let's hop into thoughts on this one. So once again, why don't you go ahead and go first?
I the first thing that struck me is that this song feels more like a song that takes place in winter. I'm not saying that every song that has a winter setting needs to have sleigh bells, but it's a nice addition. If you're
It
gonna
was.
if you're because it the like iciness of certain instruments in a winter song, especially if it's a song with a story like this, it can connect more the visuals of the season to the emotions of the character. So I thought that was a very welcome addition. Like, let's make it sound like Christmas.
Right.
But no, the atmospheric, slower intro that then gets thrown into the sharp contrast of the high octane Bangles rock was a very, very enjoyable opener for me. I always enjoyed the Bangles vocal work as well,
Yes.
but what I always noticed about them is their percussion work. I've always
Yes.
of all of the aspects I think about when I try to talk to somebody about how great the Bangles are. The first thing I mentioned is the drum work, and I mean that cowbell solo towards the end. That was, I mean, who doesn't love some nice cowbell? Um, my only complaint about this would be when the line about Salvation Army Band playing, and then you get that little trumpet riff.
Right.
Um, it's just the one trumpet, and it sounds a little tinny and a little off.
So
I
I
think it needed like just one. I'm not saying you need a whole brass quartet, but I'm saying with that trumpet, you should have had like a trombone or a French horn playing the same. So that it could have just sounded a little fuller, because that trumpet sounded a little lonely. But that's my only complaint.
I kind of feel that it's actually the same. Like maybe they lifted the original horns from the original and
Oh,
put it
it's a
in the.
sample, you think?
That's what I think is because it
Okay.
sounds almost exactly like it, and with the um very little bass in the original production, the original version. I kind of feel like that's where it comes from, But that could just be me. But I agree. It doesn't sound as full as the rest of the song. You know what I mean?
Well, and to
And
be fair, I am nitpicking the crap out of this because I'm like it went on all of my winter playlists. Like I'm obsessed with this version now. I'm very into the vibe of like late '80s, early '90s whimsigoth. And so this totally feels like it should be like there's an alternate universe where The Craft is a winter horror movie, not a summer horror movie, and this track is on the soundtrack. And so
Mhm.
I'm just loving every second of it. So this is like me, I have to really dig to find something I
No,
don't
no,
like for
that's fair.
sure.
That's fair. So to your point, the opening is a really nice addition to the song, and kind of it sets the uh, cold and kind of sad tone of the song. But you're right. Once it kicks in, that guitar, man, does it sound great. And
Well, because it's such a beautiful riff to start with. Like, that is a really good riff
yeah,
that Simon and Garfunkel wrote. But it sounds so much better when they just
yeah,
blast it out.
it's so much thicker and more powerful in this one. But what's really cool is they actually do two extra measures of the riff because this one's 30 seconds longer than the original. And you can
Hmm.
tell, obviously, the intro is nice and you mentioned the cowbells, but they change enough of the song to kind of make it a little more modern and also fit. So they definitely lean into the guitar riff because they with the change of the bridge, because in the bridge they slow it down and they take out 5 lines and eliminate the whole thing with the writing and the unpublished and the vodka, which makes sense because it doesn't fit in the context of the film. So I like that change.
Yeah,
Um,
I like that they fit it. They fit it more to the story of the film it's going. And I've never seen this film, so
it's been a
I
long time for me, but yes,
it's
yeah,
nice that they didn't just slap it on there, even though the lyrics don't fit. Like we did work for this cover. We did real
right,
work.
right. And the I like how they got a little bit extra the guitar, especially like I said with the bridge. It kind of stops for a moment, and then the guitar comes back in, which is just awesome. It's fantastic to listen to it on headphones because the guitar riff goes back and forth through the headphones, and it's really really cool. The Just the general production of the song is so nice. It's everything's very crisp, and Debbie's drums sound awesome. They
Oh,
really, really do. That snare drum is fantastic. She just sounds great, and I love the minor changes she makes compared to the original. Right before they go into the chorus, when they do that pause, she has a the double hit on the snare, and then she skips. She does a she hesitates, and then brings the snare back in. It's really, really cool, and I think it does a lot to kind of kick off the chorus in a way that the original song does not do it. And it just sounds really good. In fact, every time I think of the song now, when I was listening to the original, I kept trying to put that in there. I'm like, oh wait, that's in the cover, not the
you
original.
were looking for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because
I thought that
I
was a
like the
really
change.
yeah. That's a really good detail to cue into that chorus because it kind of like it sneaks in through the back door of your brain
Right.
and like signals you to like wake up and pay attention, and it really like centers you in on what's gonna come next.
Yeah, the original just kind of the drum just keeps counting along. This one she kind of does that little hesitation, which just it hits much better, and it hits a lot better with the guitar going into it. But I really dig that. And there's just I don't know, just in general, this song is just so much more fun to listen to. And Susanna Hoffs gets one line of a chorus on her own, which of course you knew it was going to happen. I'm sure the record company pushed for it because she was kind of the definitely the unofficial face of the band, which I know wasn't didn't sit well with the rest of the band, but things like
It
that.
definitely chaps my mom because
Yeah.
Susanna is not her favorite.
Now,
Um,
either way, it is what it is, and
yeah, she
that's the
likes
record
that the
company.
other girls get to be more forward in this song.
Yeah, right. Um, and then if you listen to the very last chorus, it sounds like they actually add a little bit. I don't know if I can't tell if it's a little bit more if it's some keyboard they add, but the last chorus is a little bit thicker as well, a little bit more full in
Oh yeah.
sound. So it kind of builds up to that end when it just stops. So there's
Yeah, like it almost feels like on certain songs when they do the last chorus, they'll go up a key
right,
just to make it a little different for the finale. It
right.
feels like they did that, but I know they didn't.
Yeah,
Like I don't
it
know
just added.
what
I
they're
think
adding.
yeah, it was just a little bit thicker. I don't even know if it was just like an extra guitar track, if it was an extra, if they added some keyboards in there. But either way, it just feels a little bit more full. which works when it just ends because it just, that's silence, which of course I always prefer when a song ends instead of fades out anyway. But I
Well,
dig the song.
especially for a song like this, like
Yes,
that sudden cutoff, and you just have to sit with the like a sit with the lyrics, but then also you just awashed in the experience you just
right,
had. Like
right.
that hard break is really necessary.
And listening to these back to back, as we both agreed, the original definitely sounds like it's from the late 60s, prior to better production quality. This one to me, even though it's from 87, it feels a little bit more timeless because if I played it for somebody now not familiar with it, I don't think they could pick the decade. You know what I mean?
No, no, not at all. I think yeah, it can you can kind of slide this around anywhere. Like I don't know if you could go past early 60s, but um like anything from the 60s forward, it could go anywhere. Like this could even be right at home on the radio next to like, early Pink Floyd records, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think it's also one of those that if I played it for my daughter, she probably couldn't tell it from the 90s and or from 87, and maybe she thought it was later after 2000s. But
Yeah, yeah, it could easily be like that 2000 sort of rock revival that we had.
right, right. So, all right. Well, anything else to add about this one before we go ahead and pick our favorite or which one we like is better? I'm sure it sounds like we're both in agreement
Oh,
on
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is not a hard choice to make at all,
no.
my
And
friend.
so it's funny because when we did the first one, John and I did Striper's cover of Earth, Wind, and Fire's Shining Star. That one to me, I actually preferred the original over the cover.
Oh God,
And I
yeah.
and I made a comment that, it's rare that a cover is better than the original. Well, I followed one up with what I think, and I think we agree that this, as much as the first one, the original is good, I just think all the changes they made and the production on this one is just so much better. That I mean, they made a great pop rock song out of this one, and everything clicks. So for me, the cover is actually better, and I like it way more. My brain just when I think of the song, it's their version I think of. So, what about you?
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. All respect to Simon and Garfunkel, they wrote a great track, but it's definitely anachronistic of the '60s. I feel it's not anachronistic of them, and while I enjoy their version, it's kind of off-putting for me to hear them sing it. It like feels unnatural in a weird sort of way that I can't describe. But no, this is for anybody who's new to the podcast, feel free to circle back to the early episodes and find our Jimi Hendrix episode
Right,
where we
right.
talk about All Along the Watchtower.
Watchtower. Yep.
This is very much this is to the original Garfunkel and Simon version what Jimmy's version is to Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan wrote a great track, but if you haven't heard Jimi Hendrix do All Along the Watchtower, you need to do
Yeah.
yourself a favor. Let's do it right now.
Yeah. Jimmy did it
Yeah,
better. And
yeah,
even
this
Dylan
is
agreed because Dylan
yeah,
started
yeah.
doing that
Dylan totally
version.
agreed. It was like,
He's like,
man,
okay.
I wish I could have done it that good.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, so the Bangles version took what was already good and just made it so much more full and solid. Like it almost feels like Simon and Garfunkel's is like a demo for this.
Yes.
Like
Yeah. Well, but yeah, I agree with that. I agree. I agree.
yeah, this is definitely the better version. I'm gonna be listening to it a lot.
Well, good. I'm glad that worked out. I'm glad you got to
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
this for
this
the
was
first
such a
time.
nice little Christmas gift to me, Dayton. Thank you very much.
Well, you are most welcome. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our opinions on these two songs. Liam, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to play around in the YouTube space.
Right, right. For everybody watching, I will put links to both the songs in the description in the show notes so you guys can check it out and let us know what you think, which one you prefer. And as every YouTuber says, like, subscribe, and comment, about the episode. Hit that bell so that way you are alerted whenever we do new content. Going forward, the goal is to have at least two of these versus episodes a month, and also we're going to be continuing the top 7 lists from our hosts, and as well as some other random things thrown in here and there. So, um, anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Check out the songs. Let us know what you think. And as always, thanks for watching.